something is definitely brewing. Tesla China has denied Bloomberg's report stating Tesla's best-selling car, the Tesla Model Y, is getting a fully refreshed makeover treatment. And this apparently included more obvious exterior and interior changes. Like, what does that even mean? That on its own lacks serious context and sounds completely wish-washy to me. And all of this is apparently expected as early as April 2024. That's not far away, is it? Does all of that seem plausible to you? If your answer is no, I am firmly in the same boat as you on this speculation, and Tesla China's word in the matter should be taken at face value. Or should it? Well, remember all the Project Harlem rumours, aka the refreshed Tesla Model 3, Tesla China consistently downplayed the existence of the new Model 3 too. And well, look how that played out. Tesla China was at the forefront of the announcement following its direct contribution to the Model 3's redesign, and yet it was still denied in the months prior to its announcement. So this begs the question, is Tesla China simply downplaying the rumour again, or is it simply untrue, hence the denial? Straight to the point, I do believe that there is actually some truth in the article, and what I do believe is that a refreshed Model Y is in the works, but the rest of the article just lacks clarity and substance. So I do think there is more to the story itself than is actually being reported. So here are my thoughts, prayers on the new Model Y rumour and what I believe the new Tesla Model Y will consist of beyond the obvious exterior and interior changes. And finally, when could we expect a new Model Y, and is 2024 a stretch too far? As always, plenty to unpack in today's video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Right, let's get straight into it, folks. So first up, what do we know about Project Juniper? Well, nothing officially. Unofficially, rumours have mainly been off the back of Project Harlem hype, considering that the original legacy Model 3 and Model Y shared around 60 to 70% of the parts, so there is a lot of correlation between both models, and for good reason. Some of the parts shared, such as the front display, allowed an element of crossover should you want to switch to a sedan or upsize to an SUV. Your experience is almost identical between both Tesla models. B, which is probably the biggest benefit, the economies of scale benefit from sharing parts enables production costs to not only be lower, the availability and supply of parts are there and simply not wasted. With the Model 3 refresh changing over near 50% of its own parts as part of its own evolution, does this mean the new Model 3 and the current Model Y share less parts than they used to? I can't definitively say, but it's highly likely that that is the case, for which there is positive ground for Tesla to finalise a refreshed Model Y to retain that shared benefit once again. A counter to that argument is to speculate whether a refreshed Model Y is actually needed at this time, and the answer is up for debate, but even during this difficult year with high interest rates, the Model Y has continued to have the best year to date. Even with the new Model 3 released in China, the current Model Y continues to be the leading Tesla model. So a revised Model Y isn't necessarily a solely demand-driven decision. I feel it'll be more about refinement, addressing current flaws, expanding on the advantages, but more importantly, just enabling production efficiencies to take place. And the exact same can be said about the new Tesla Model 3. Despite it being a new Model 3 build, its own production ramp has occurred pretty swiftly, and Tesla China are getting quite the reputation for its speed of action. With Tesla Model Y being the brand's best seller, there's even more pressure for it to ramp the Model Y just as fast, if not faster, than the Model 3. With sales continuing to impress, even against the new Model 3, the truth is there is no immediate need to introduce a new Model Y. The pros for moving to a newer Model Y are mainly about Tesla retaining production efficiencies to lower costs and increase supply, but also refining the product at the same time. And this brings me to my expectation on the exterior and interior changes. Looking at the exterior of the new Model Y, the current consensus based on the mock-ups produced by the Tesla community today is very much the same Model Y frame you know today, with it receiving the same front and back end of the new Model 3. That means all new headlights and a more aggressive front bumper design, as well as the new taillight design. And this new aggressive approach for the Model 3 made the car ever so slightly longer and wider. Will that also happen for the new Model Y? That could offer even more storage capacity or even passenger space. Needless to say, for the Model 3, it contributed to a better drag coefficient figure. In plain simple English, for those not familiar with such a term, it's less draggy in the air, so more mileage can be achieved from less power consumption, for which is likely to push the Model Y into achieving more range even without the introduction of new battery packs, just like what happened with the new Model 3, which is great news because This should mean less consumers need to buy the longer range, as the rear-wheel drive should hopefully have an even more practical range and crucially at that lower price tag. But it also means the longer range is more appropriate for those demanding more range, but without the requirement of paying dramatically more for the bigger battery packs. Like, who would do that, right? Could we see the 4680 Model Y again? In the future, yes. But for the first iterations at least, I don't think there's any real need or desire to rush such an action, especially when the average consumer is happy with today's offering, plus any gains from weight reductions and reduced drag mentioned earlier. Personally, I'd love to see Tesla China start to install the structural BYD blade battery packs for the rear-wheel drive variants, as made in Germany Model Ys have started to build. From watching Bjorn's video on this variant, they seem to offer amazing charging speed consistency and convenience when it comes to supercharging sessions. Despite it having slower max charging speed on paper, its ability to then sustain these high speeds for a longer period definitely reduces the recharging time deficit between a rear-wheel drive variant and a longer range variant. Therefore, this would be a nice addition. However, I have no idea if that's going to be a possibility. It's safer to say that it will be similar to the styling of the new Model 3 and the same battery packs is present as the safe option. Maybe even slightly longer in dimensions too, potentially even a new suspension setup for the Model Y, for which had previously received some criticism ahead of some changes made in some of the later editions of the Model Y. However, this would be a perfect time to introduce a brand new all-in-house solution in full. Moving over to the interior, there's even more reason to believe it will be very similar to the new Model 3 editions, so we are talking about ventilated seats making its way over to the Model Y, all the material changes to the dash together with the second screen located in the rear, the 17 speakers, the 2 subwoofers and amplifiers, etc. All the changes made to the new Model 3, but potentially some hidden gems thrown in to justify the price tag it receives. Previously, the Model Y had the 12-volt socket in the boot of the car, together with the ability to lay down the second row seats flat with just a touch of a button. All advantages not found on the Model 3 at present, but I still expect them to carry over to a refreshed Model Y. One change that many may not like to see is the new steering wheel with the lack of stalks. It's just a fact that if it's not found in the Model 3, it's very likely a refreshed Model Y would likely be stalkless too. If the dimensions of the vehicles are adjusted slightly, we could see more passenger room as well as more storage capacity. It could even make a 7-seater Model Y more practical as a result. Again, addressing critical feedback, making that third row seat more suitable than just for young kids, adding a few centimeters in length could really help alleviate that criticism for sure. Do you agree? Finally, before we conclude the video, when should we anticipate a release date? Well, Bloomberg believe it's as early as Q2, for which I'd love to see, as being in the lookout for a new car in 2024, but looking back to Project Highland, I can't help but state the obvious. Where are all the pre-production prototype sightings? These were like 6 months in the making of the refreshed Model 3, and there has been 0 reported sightings of a new Model Y to date, hence why all the mock-up designs are pretty much just copying the same design language of the Model 3. When we start getting sightings of prototypes, this should be a positive and a good indication of release within a similar timescale. The report stipulated a partial upgrade to the production lines ahead of the Chinese New Year, but if my memory serves me right, maintenance is always scheduled around this time anyway. It's nothing particularly new. Again, I can't help but think if Tesla are serious about a release date this year, it will be released in Q4 2024 in similar fashion as they did with the refreshed Model 3 perhaps. Tesla will upgrade their production lines in a scheduled and coordinated manner to minimise the effects of a reduced production of the current Model Y, but also having sufficient stock to see it continue to sell its current Model Y lineup as its production ramps on the newer model. With the new Model 3 being a test case for the more bottom line and more important Model Y, it has a good test bed of data for what it needs to happen and when. But also they're able to time its introduction and impact more effectively thanks to the new Model 3 production ramp. So to conclude today's video, the new Tesla Model Y is probably a thing, but don't set your expectations as Q2 2024. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, you're on point with being realistic with your expectations. If it receives all new additions from the Model 3 refreshed, this Model Y will be even better than before. Surplus to that, I personally think that just being that tiny bit longer would be very beneficial for even more practicality, especially for the third row argument. Better suspension wouldn't go amiss based on feedback. Anything else would be a Tesla surprise, and I kind of expect there to be a few that would just be wild predictions on my part right now. So I will reserve that excitement for any official announcement. Otherwise, it's like I said before, any revised Model Y is likely to be more about refinement, addressing current flaws, expanding on the advantages, but more importantly, just enabling production efficiencies to take place, allowing Tesla to build even better cars at a lower cost and in greater volume. So what do you folks think to my predictions about the new Model Y? Do you think Bloomberg has got the Q2 timeframe wrong? Are Tesla China downplaying again? What do you expect to see from a new Model Y if one is around the corner? If you want to let me know you got to the end of this video, drop me the comment, Adam Goes Long, and I'll give you a cheeky thumbs up for the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video with anyone that may find this video beneficial. As always, you folks have been great, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.